Welcome to Lord Pod Gaming. Today's feature presentation is a game from developer Studio Ortica, Birds Watching. Music provided by John Runefelt and Carl Casey at White Bat Audio. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'm your host, Lord Pog. How are y'all doing? Welcome to Lord Pog Gaming, one of the only YouTube channels that doesn't have an ad every 5 minutes.
That's racist.
No, seriously, I'm not taking shots at anyone by saying that, but it could explain why YouTube doesn't push my channel as much. There's no money in it for them. Still, I want to welcome all you Golden Wonders out there in the audience for tuning into the show. I'm Lord Pog, and as y'all can see, I've got a new setup and format that I'm going to do from here on out. I did post a channel announcement explaining all this, but sadly, at the time of recording this, it's only sitting at around 5 views. Again, the algorithm doesn't favor ad-free channels, it seems.
Bloody peasant! Oh, what a giveaway. Did you hear that?
I know my new style is pretty rough around the edges, but I promise I'll get better at it. If any of you Golden Wonders out there want to help the channel, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment down in my guest book telling me your honest opinions about the channel, and join the Patreon to help support it, if y'all can.
Do it! Do it!
Any and all help is appreciated here at Lord Pod Gaming, as it helps the channel grow and affords me the resources needed to make the channel better for you Golden Wonders out there. Before we get into our review of Birds Watching, the newest indie game by the totally awesome guys at Studio Ortica.
Totally?
A little gaming news for you Golden Wonders out there, and boy, what a time to be alive. Let me tell you, I'm going to tell you. There's a game that's released here recently called 1348 X Voto that's already being nominated for Worst Game of the Year. Have y'all heard about this? To me, that's a pretty bold statement since we have games like Highguard out there.
Don't be a dick!
But what do I know? 1348 has already caused enough of a stir that it's actually accomplished the impossible. Kotaku released an article on the 14th of March, where in the headline, they had to admit that it's an unremarkable game, despite the fact that its whole theme is what they call woke, which is a part of the Kotaku playbook. Yet 1348 must have been so bad that Kotaku was forced to do some honest journalism for once.
Come on now, you expect me to believe that?
I know. Who knew in this day and age Kotaku would be honest? I guess the sun shines on a dog's butt every once in a while.
What?
Seriously though, I'll leave a link to the article in the description because everything I just said about Kotaku having integrity gets undone in the same article. As they start trying to say that there's a conspiracy that the, and I quote, chuds are saying that the taxpayers of Italy paid to have 1348 created with funding from the Italian government. Crazy, I know, but from what I understand, the developers crossed every T and dotted every I in order to earn that funding, as the requirements are specified in the article by Kotaku. Granted, I'm trusting that Kotaku is being on the level when explaining the requirements. I probably should have my head examined for that, folks. Regardless, it doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to figure out what happened here.
Doilies.
They created their Assassin's Creed Shadows alternate history by ensuring that they met the requirements for the funding. Then created a game with a female, how do I say this politely? A female lesbian knight. So to put it into perspective,
Too much. There's too much fucking perspective now.
they made sure that they were just historically accurate enough for the government, then threw in some fake propaganda to appease the people who didn't even buy the game. So far, the game is failing, and as stated before, is being nominated for Worst Game of the Year. Personally, I've watched some gameplay. I haven't played it. I'm not going to spend money on it, but I have watched some gameplay, however, and I'll say this. Fake history aside, That doesn't matter. Fallout is fake history, and that doesn't matter. Baldur's Gate 3 has plenty of homosexual plot lines, and that didn't matter. Both the Fallout series and BG3 are great games, and 1348 Ex Voto had what looks like the blueprint of what could have been a decent game at least. It probably wouldn't have been Game of the Year, but it could have been a fun little escape into an alternate history of Italy's medieval period. But folks, when you make a game, don't focus on the propaganda. Focus on the mechanics, graphics, and the story in equal measure. If your story is about a female knight who likes girls, then so be it. Just don't make that story with the express purpose of trying to rage bait the very same people who are going to be the majority of your customers. Focusing it so hard that your graphics and game mechanics suffer. I hope the developers and publishers of 1348 Ex Voto can learn from this and realize that just because you would disagree with some people's beliefs doesn't mean you can't still make a great game that everyone can appreciate. Which 1348 could have been a great game, because I can see the potential it had. But sadly, we live in a time where politics have to be in the forefront of everything. And yes, I do feel like it's just as underhanded to meet all the requirements to have the Italian government use its taxpayer money to fund your game, then turn around and make said game basically be the equivalent of a middle finger to the very people who funded your game, which is the Italian taxpayers. Anyway, that's the news, folks. Now let's get on to why we're here, and that's this brand new indie game, Birds Watching, made by my good friends in Italy, developers Studio Ortica. These guys are good friends of mine. I've interviewed them on the channel before, so check that out when you get a chance. This is their newest endeavor after the breakout success of their last game, Loan Shark. So without further ado, let's get on with the review of Birds Watching.
Can you imagine if we got caught? Oh my God, what my dad would do to you.
Released on March 6th of this year on Steam, Birds Watching is the first horror game I think I've ever played that is based on bird watching, which is a funny little play on words there. You play a bird watcher, but the game is called Birds Watching. I'll get to that here in a bit, but for now, remember this funny little play on words.
Hold your horses.
Developed and published by Studio Ortica, the awesome indie development team is comprised of Nicola Dow, Luca Foligno, and Samuel Petrucci. Sorry if I butchered your names, guys.
Read a fucking book for one.
My first interaction with Studio Ortica came when I was personally contacted by them to do a review on a proof of concept game called Dark Reality on itch.io. They called it a demo, I called it a proof of concept, but in all honesty, it was a full-length game. Dark Reality was a dark, gothic horror RPG that gained enough of a following that their next game would release on Steam called Loan Shark. Now, under the name Studio Ortica, they saw a substantial amount of success with popular playthrough YouTube channels like Manly Badass Hero and Queso showcasing Loan Shark. You Golden Wonders might be wondering, why am I giving a history lesson before talking about Birds Watching?
Oh, well, allow me to retort.
Because the now newly branded Studio Ortica have gone on record saying that their main goal is to create story-driven RPGs. So seeing how far they've come in such a short time is important. But not only that, it's a testament to all the hard work and sacrifice they've made to get where they are now. Dark Reality showcased Studio Ortica's ability to make a compelling RPG, while Loan Shark, which was a folk horror game about fishing, showcased their attention to detail in the horror genre, with both games proving that Studio Ortica know how to tell a good story. Birds Watching is the accumulation of what they've learned so far from both their previous installments. Studio Ortica is quickly becoming masters of the horror RPG genre, and I say this not just because I know them personally, but as a writer myself, one of the first things I always pay attention to in any medium of any art form is the story. Doesn't matter what you make, if your narrative is a steaming pile of shit.
What did he say?
If it's a dumpster fire, then I'm checking out instantly. Studio Ortica not only has neat and creative gameplay in Birds Watching, but they also have crafted a very dark folktale that is just every bit terrifyingly traumatizing, and I mean that in a good way, as it is enthralling, in the way it psychologically makes the player question every choice they make. And trust me when I say, there are some disturbing decisions in Birds Watching, which is also a good thing. The plot centers around the last human on Earth, who lives in the mountains with the last surviving birds. Yours is a peaceful life, as you live off the last of nature's bounty and spend your days observing the birds. That peaceful existence is threatened, though, when you're contacted by Brigadier Officer Kaio, who plans on storming the mountain and creating a new civilization there. Normally, the idea of humanity continuing after an apocalyptic event wouldn't sound like such a bad thing, except Kaio is a man of war and threatens not only your existence, but that of the birds as well. Kaio promises that if you help him, he'll make you a part of his brigadiers.
You liar!
But you're warned by your pet bird that once Kaio has what he wants, he'll do away with you, as well as the last of the surviving birds. Essentially, that's the plot in a nutshell.
Help! I'm in a nutshell! How did I get into this nutshell?
Birds Watching doesn't hold your hand on what the player should do next, nor does it directly point out who you should trust. As with both Kaio and your pet bird, who the player gets to name, the player is more often than not left with more questions than answers. Neither your pet bird or Kaio are very forthcoming with their answers to the player's questions. Kaio is very militant and abrasive. As mentioned, he's a man of war and very military structured. He hates answering questions and hates it even more when you ask them, while your pet bird is a maniac, and the things it suggests are enough to make the player question if it's playing you for a fool. Seriously, there were times where I was wondering if it had motives that were far more nefarious in nature. See, as I had said in the beginning, the player is a bird watcher, but they too are also being watched, hence the aforementioned play on words I was talking about. When the player discovers this, and then your pet bird begins to suggest some maniacal ideas, one can only wonder, are they truly alone? They may have the birds. They may have a group of survivors who want on the mountain. But can they trust anything? Or is everything around them plotting the player's demise? And if that's the case, then does any of your choices matter? Does anything matter anymore?
Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
See what I mean? Birds Watching will cause the player to question everything, while wondering if in the end they are going to have to burn it all down. Gameplay-wise, I really enjoyed everything Birds Watching has to offer. Again, you can see how far Studio Ortica have come in mastering a unique blend of horror and RPG while maintaining a captivating story. There's plenty of replay value, as Birds Watching has multiple endings. There's dialogue options where your choices matter on how the story unfolds, and I really appreciated that. The player can trust Kaio and become a good little soldier, trusting in his promises regardless of possible consequence.
Consequences, schmonsequences, as long as I'm rich.
You can trust your pet bird, even though you're probably gonna end up insane. However, you can also play it sorta down the middle, choosing to question both and be plotting on how you're gonna smoke them both, should you need to. You're given a nifty inventory with binoculars for watching the birds, a cool book that tells you the type of each bird you discover, which I thought was a nice touch, along with some other things that the player will either start with or find as they explore the mountain. Honestly, I could give you Golden Wonders a play-by-play of everything Birds Watching has to offer, but I myself haven't discovered everything in my first playthrough. Plus, I would be doing y'all a disservice by spoiling everything instead of urging y'all to go play it.
Go away!
It's on Steam right now for only $4.99, and I can't recommend this game enough. So go get Birds Watching, and remember to watch your step on the mountain, because not every bird is friendly. And some, well, let's just say some things are in a league of their own. Every game I've mentioned, I'll leave a link for it in the description below. Birds Watching, Lone Shark, Dark Reality, and yes, even 1348 x Voto. If and wasting your money on 1348 sounds like that tickles your fancy.
No, please do not tickle my fancy.
I'm not kidding. I read a review on the social wasteland that is Reddit, where someone said they pirated 1348 and still feel like they deserve a refund.
Evil shenanigans.
I want to thank y'all Golden Wonders for joining me. I know I haven't done a whole lot with the channel here recently. I've been working on my book Gate Realm, The Three Sorrows, Dark Crimson, which is a mouthful, I know, but I'm possibly 3 chapters away from being finished. Give or take 3 chapters, that is. I posted the rough draft of the prologue and first 3 chapters on my Patreon for free. So if any of you Golden Wonders are interested in checking it out, it's there, but it's a rough draft. So excuse me for all the mistakes. I'm really sorry about that, but it is a rough draft. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment in my guest book telling me what you think of the new format. Also, let me know if you've ever played Birds Watching before, or even heard of it. I'd be interested in hearing about everyone's experiences with the game.
Inquiring minds want to know.
From my very heart and soul, I love y'all. Y'all come back now. Stay golden.